Welcome to version 4 for this project, where we are going to integrate payment into it. The main logic is to implement subscription, and that is one-time subscription. And we are going to use Stripe for the payment. But before we get into that, unless we have the user profile to determine if a user has subscribed to a plan or not. At the moment, this is what we have on the user profile. All these data are static. For example, plan selection. This means that we need to create a controller for getting the user profile to know more about the user. So before we get into the payment, let's create a controller for fetching the user profile to know more about him or her. Alright, so let's continue. Because of that, we are going to focus on the backend, and inside the controllers and users, we are going to create one for profile. So for this, let me collapse this, and then for the login, okay, and then the callback and that. So let's have one for the profile. And it's going to be as profile, and then async handler, callback function, rec, and response. And here we go. So let me log or just send some response as res.json, and I will say message, and I will say profile fetched. All right, so let's go ahead and then mount this on the router, which is users here. Have one for profile as .profile. And here the endpoint is going to be profile and is get method. All right, so let's get back to Postman under users. Let's duplicate this and change this one to profile. And then the endpoint is users/profile. All right, and send. I think my server is not working. Okay, let's try again. And we have profile fetched. Awesome. So how are we going to fetch the user profile? Let's see the model one more time for the user, which is, let me close these guys, models and user. This is a property about the user that we want to retrieve. For example, username, profile, email, and then of methods and some properties. So over here, we will know how many posts that a user has created, and then next earning date. And this is what we are going to work on the plan. And we have to create a model for the plan. At the moment, we don't have it. And we have the payment here, and we have a property called has selected a plan. All right, so let's move step by step to get to know about the user profile. So it means that in the controller for users, we are going to find the user. So it means that we have to protect the profile component as is authenticated. I think I don't have that middleware, so let's bring in that. Let me come to middlewares, resave it, and bring in the is authenticated. Awesome. So it means that inside the users controller, we have access to what is called rec.user. So if I log the rec.user, let's see, and let's check the console, and we have the user here because I have logged in. But if I log out and try to get my profile, let's see, no auth token found. It means that the authentication middleware is working. So now we can find the user by the ID. So here is going to be as const user is equal to await the user model dot find by ID, and the ID is rec.user. And let's go ahead and then send the user. So here I will say the user here, and let's check. Let me log in and get my profile. As you can see, this is my profile. Let's see, we have these properties. But also, I want to populate the post that the user has created. At the moment, we don't have the post on the user. Let's see the post creation in case we have that logic. Let's get into the post. Let me close these guys and then get into the controller post here and creation of a post. At the moment, we are not pushing the post into the user. So here I will say that push the, and remember we are pushing the ID only. And do we have the user here? We don't have the user here, so we can go ahead and find the user the same way we did for the category. So here I'm going to duplicate this one and change this one to find the user, and I will say user found and pass in the ID of the user as rec.user. Remember, this controller is behind authentication, so we have access to the rec.user. So I will say that user not found. And down here, we know that the user is being found, so we will need this method. So here as user found dot post dot push, and we're going to push the new post into the user as post created, and then push the ID only, and let's resave the user as user found dot save. So let's go ahead and then create a new post. So here, create this post and then provide the image, description, and send. Well, category is not found, so it means that we have to pass in the category also. And let's fetch all the categories, which is this, and take the HTML category and then pass in here as text, then the value, and create. I got server internal error, user is not found. So it means that I have to protect the post creation controller, which is post here, and over here we are not, I think we have the middleware here. Why is it that the user is not found? Let me check. I think let's see up here. Oh, it's supposed to be the user model instead, but not the category model. So let's resave the user model to have the auto import. So here as user. Awesome. So let's try again. And now we got the post. If I fetch my profile, I will see the post inside the post array here. Let's try. And indeed, we have the post here. But remember, on the front end, we will see the ID like this. But to get the actual data, we are going to populate or by converting this one to rare object or post. So let's get back to the users controller. So let me close and then get into the users and profile. Over here, we are going to populate the post. So I will say dot populate and then provide the value as post. Make sure that this property is the same as the one we specified on the user model, where we are keeping all the posts, which is this one here. As you can see, it is post. Save it and let's see. Let's try again. And now we have the post, which is the rare object. And I don't want to send some data back to the user. For example, the password, which is this one, and then the reset token, and these ones. These are private. So let me deselect from that by using what is called select. So here as select, and then if I use minus, it means that I don't want to send back to the user. So here quotes and minus password. Now with this one, if I save it and try again, on the response there is no password failed. And likewise the password reset token, and then space, and then paste that. Likewise these ones, and this one also, and then this. Awesome. So let's try again. Now it worked. So what has left is that we have to fetch this data on the front end, and we can determine if a user has a plan or not, or if the user account is verified or not. Let's continue in the next video.